I'm Sumi Somaskanda. Good to have you with us. German Interior Minister Thomas de Maizière has announced proposals for strengthening the country's security after recent attacks. De Maizière focused on prevention, laying out plans to boost police numbers, fight crime online, and improve the integration of refugees in the country. He also said he wanted to talk with medical professionals to take a closer look at doctor-patient confidentiality in specific cases. In all, he said Germany must find a constructive way to fight threats to its safety. Now, we have our political correspondent, Charlotte Potts, with us here. She's been following this story for us. Charlotte, thank you for joining us in studio. He did mention these three approaches. So, security personnel, stocking up on security personnel, then integration, then also tougher measures for asylum seekers who are a threat. How important or significant do you think it was that he talked about integration as such a central approach?
I think it's a great point. It was integration and prevention, actually. I think he made clear very much in the beginning that if you respond to violence with more hate, you will see more radicalization. And so he made sure that prevention and integration are amongst the pillars of how to prevent further attacks, of how to prevent radicalization. One thing, of course, being amongst that, the doctor-patient confidentiality part. So if a patient tells the doctor that he is planning, for example, an attack, that he's planning to hurt himself or hurt others, then that doctor should have the responsibility to go to the authorities and mention that, even if that patient confidentiality is waived then. So that was a very interesting point in that, but I think the prevention part really touches on a key issue here. We've seen in France, for example, how they reacted to the attacks. They called out a state of emergency that is still in place. So the government reacted quite harshly there. We have seen in the Scandinavian countries, for example, that they are investing a lot in de-radicalization and also the prevention of radicalization. So maybe here Germany is taking kind of a middle approach to that, stocking up police personnel, but also at the same time preventing people from radicalizing and integrating them into society.
Something you just said, you mentioned that they talked about stocking up police personnel. Now, Thomas de Maizière was very clear that the responsibility of security will remain with police. This has been a very controversial issue if Germany's armed forces should be involved in establishing security here.
Exactly. It's been highly politically discussed. So the idea here is the military constitutionally is not allowed to work to be deployed within the German borders. And Thomas de Maizière made sure once again that that is not going to change. He said they would stock up police personnel. Of course, that's very uncontroversial in case they can react to attacks more effectively. But he also said, though, that there will be more cooperation between the military and the police force. They will have trainings together. So in case there is a huge attack, he was mentioning chemical attacks, for example, then in that case, there might be a chance for the military to be deployed in the German borders, but it would have to be a huge emergency.
Now, if you look at the string of violence that we saw in Germany last month, you have to say that this is a very complicated mix of motives, causes for these attacks. How effective do you think any new security measures are going to be?
I think those proposals by de Maizière today, they were more about sending out a signal to the German public. We have, of course, it has a political background. There are 2 state elections coming up, federal elections next year. So de Maizière wants to make sure, of course, that Germans feel safe again. And if you look at recent polls, half of Germans don't believe that the German government is doing enough to keep them safe. 2/3 are very concerned and worried about a possible attack, another possible attack here in Germany. So he wanted to send out a signal, show the government is reacting, we are doing something, and we are going to try at least to prevent attacks from happening.
All right, our political correspondent Charlotte Potts with us here in studio looking at that story. Thanks very much for your insight.